Drop a Tyrannosaurus rex into modern Africa, and the first thing that changes is not the animal. It is the silence. Lions stop calling. Hyenas stop laughing. Zebras lift their heads and freeze because something has entered the savannah that does not belong to any memory, any instinct, or any food chain alive today. This is not a movie monster. This is an 8-ton predator built by a world that ended 66 million years ago, suddenly standing under the same African sun as elephants, hippos, buffalo, crocodiles, and humans with rifles, drones, and helicopters. At first, it looks unstoppable. One bite can crush bone, one step can shake the mud around a waterhole. But Africa is not empty land waiting to be conquered. It is one of the most competitive survival machines on Earth. Everything here runs fast, fights in groups, adapts quickly, or kills from places you never see coming. And if you like realistic prehistoric survival simulations like this, follow the channel, because every episode drops an extinct giant into a modern world and asks one brutal question: would it dominate, adapt, or die? So the real question today is not whether a T-Rex can scare Africa. The real question is whether Africa will eventually teach the king of dinosaurs that being ancient, massive, and terrifying is not the same as being ready. Before we throw it into Africa, we need to understand what a Tyrannosaurus rex actually was. Not a dumb, oversized lizard. Not just a big mouth with legs. T-Rex lived near the end of the Cretaceous period, around 68 to 66 million years ago, in a North America filled with floodplains, forests, rivers, armored herbivores, horned dinosaurs, and giant duck-billed prey. A full-grown adult could reach roughly 40 feet long and weigh somewhere between 6 and 9 tons depending on age, sex, and body condition. Its head alone was almost the size of a small car. Its teeth were not thin slicing blades like a shark's. They were thick, curved, bone-punching spikes designed to grip, crush, and tear through struggling prey. The bite force was one of the strongest known among land predators, powerful enough to break bone and access marrow, turning injuries into instant death sentences. Its eyes faced forward, giving it strong depth perception, the kind of vision useful for judging distance during an ambush. Its sense of smell was excellent, possibly good enough to detect carrion or injured animals from long distances. Its legs were built for carrying tremendous mass, not for endless sprinting. It could move fast enough to be terrifying at close range, but it was not a cheetah, and it was not built to chase prey across miles of open grassland. That matters, because modern Africa is a world of visibility. The savanna exposes you. It does not hide you. A predator here succeeds by speed, teamwork, patience, endurance, or intelligence. T-Rex brings size, power, vision, smell, and a weaponized skull. But it also brings problems. It has no pack, no mate, no learned hunting strategy for mammals, no immune history with modern parasites, no instinct for elephants, no respect for hippos. It is the king of a dead world, entering a living one that has spent millions of years perfecting its own rules. The simulation begins in East Africa, near the Serengeti ecosystem during the dry season. This is important. There is open grassland, scattered acacia trees, seasonal rivers, muddy waterholes, and millions of animals moving according to rain, thirst, fear, and opportunity. For a predator, it looks like paradise. Wildebeest, zebra, gazelles, buffalo calves, young giraffes, warthogs, and injured animals all exist here. A T-Rex will not starve because there is no meat. It will struggle because the meat has eyes, legs, alarms, social groups, and experience with predators. A zebra does not need to defeat a T-Rex. It only needs to see it early and run. A wildebeest does not need to fight. It only needs to stay inside the herd. A buffalo does not need to be larger than T-Rex. It only needs a few angry adults with horns to make one attack dangerously expensive. And elephants are a different category entirely. They are not prey in the simple sense. They are intelligent, social, protective, and large enough to injure almost anything that underestimates them. The climate also matters. T-Rex comes from a warmer prehistoric world, but the African dry season punishes large bodies. Midday heat can drain energy fast. There is little shade for something 12 meters long. A huge predator that overheats cannot hunt, cannot chase, and cannot recover properly. Then there are insects, bacteria, parasites, scavengers, and humans. In the late Cretaceous, no helicopter followed a T-Rex. No conservation team tracked it by drone. No armed ranger watched it approach cattle or villages. Modern Africa is wild, but it is not untouched. The T-Rex is not just entering an ecosystem, it is entering a landscape where animals, people, and technology collide. For the first few hours, though, none of that matters. It smells water, it smells dung, it smells warm bodies. And every instinct inside its skull says the same thing. Find weakness, close distance, bite first. Its first hunt fails almost immediately, not because it is weak, but because it is obvious. The T-Rex approaches a waterhole at dawn using the little cover available, but a body that tall cannot disappear behind grass made for lions. Birds rise first, then gazelles lift their heads, then zebras turn. Within seconds, the entire waterhole becomes motion. Hooves kick mud, wildebeests shove past one another, zebras scatter in black and white streaks. The T-Rex lunges, but it is already too late. The closest animal is 30 meters away and accelerating. That gap might look small to a human watching from a screen, but in a savanna hunt, 30 meters is the difference between food and failure. The T-Rex covers ground with terrifying power, but only for a short burst. Its feet slam into the dust. Its jaws open. It nearly reaches a young wildebeest close enough for the animal to feel air move behind it, and then the herd splits around a termite mound. The T-Rex cannot turn like a smaller predator. Its momentum carries it wide. The wildebeest escapes. The first lesson is brutal. In Africa, power means nothing if the prey sees you coming. By noon, the sun becomes the second enemy. The T-Rex stands under an acacia tree that is far too small to cover it. Mouth open, sides moving with heavy breaths. Vultures circle not because something is dead, but because they are curious. Hyenas watch from a safe distance. Lions smell the stranger and avoid the area. No animal wants to test it yet. They do not know what it is. But they know it is large, and in Africa, large unfamiliar things are treated with caution until they reveal a weakness. That weakness appears at sunset. The T-Rex does not chase the herd again. It waits near a narrow animal path leading back to water. A warthog family moves through the grass, heads down, unaware of the massive shape downwind. This time the distance is 10 meters. This time, there is no long chase. The T-Rex explodes forward, jaws closing around the largest warthog before it can turn. The sound is short, wet, and final. The first kill in modern Africa is not a zebra, not a buffalo, not a lion, it is a warthog. And that matters, because the king of dinosaurs has just learned something humbling. It does not need heroic prey. It needs catchable prey. Within minutes, the kill has an audience. Hyenas arrive first, because hyenas understand opportunity better than almost any animal on the continent. They circle at a distance, laughing, testing, counting. A clan might challenge lions. They might bully leopards. But this is different. The T-Rex lifts its head and the entire circle steps back at once. The smell of blood spreads through the night. A male lion appears beyond the grass, then another. They do not charge, they do not roar, they watch. A full-grown T-Rex at the kill is not something a lion pride is designed to handle. The lions have claws, coordination, and courage, but courage does not change the physics of a skull that can crush a rib cage. So, the predators of Africa do what smart predators do. They wait. And this becomes the first major ecological disruption. The T-Rex does not only hunt, it steals space. If it kills near a waterhole, other predators lose access. If it rests near shade, smaller animals avoid that shade. If it walks toward a lion kill, lions abandon it rather than risk injury. For a few weeks, this makes the T-Rex look dominant. It eats warthogs, young antelope, sick wildebeest, and stolen carcasses. It learns that vultures point toward food. It learns that hyenas often mean scraps. It learns that lions are excellent hunters and that following them from far away can be easier than hunting alone. But the savanna also learns. Zebras begin fleeing earlier. Wildebeest avoid the waterhole when its scent is fresh. Gazelles stay farther from tall grass. Hyenas stop approaching until the T-Rex leaves. Lions drag kills into thicker cover or feed faster. Africa is not frozen. Africa updates. Every day the T-Rex survives, the ecosystem gathers information about it. It is big. It is dangerous. It is not very fast over long distance. It needs shade. It prefers ambush. It cannot be everywhere. And once prey learns those facts, the easy phase ends. The first real test comes from buffalo, not lions, not hyenas, buffalo. A young African buffalo separates from the herd near a muddy riverbank. And from the T-Rex's point of view, it looks perfect. Heavy body, slower than antelope, distracted, meat for days. The T-Rex approaches low as something that size can approach, using the riverbank to hide part of its body. At 20 meters, it charges. The buffalo calf tries to run, slips in the mud, and the T-Rex hits from the side. The bite lands high behind the shoulder. Bone cracks, the calf drops. For 5 seconds, it looks like a clean kill. Then the herd turns around. Adult buffalo do not behave like panicked duck-billed dinosaurs. They do not simply scatter and vanish. They form a wall of horns and anger. One bull charges from the front, another from the side. The T-Rex pulls back from the carcass, surprised by resistance that does not make sense to its ancient instincts. A horn slashes across its lower leg, not deep enough to cripple, but deep enough to bleed. The T-Rex snaps down and the buffalo retreat, but they do not leave. They stand between the predator and the calf, heads low, breathing dust. The T-Rex has killed, but it cannot safely eat. That is the third lesson. In Africa, killing an animal is only half the hunt. Keeping the meal can be just as dangerous. It eventually drags the calf away, but the wound on its leg attracts flies by afternoon. The flies are relentless. They gather around the cut, crawl into the edges, and become a moving signal to every alert animal nearby. For the next several days, the T-Rex loses stealth. Before it arrives, the flies arrive. Before it strikes, prey already knows something is wrong. Hunger pushes it toward a worse decision. Hippos. From a distance, a hippo calf looks like a slow, heavy meal. It stands near shallow water, separated just enough to tempt a predator that has not yet learned the rules of African rivers. The T-Rex steps into the mud. Each foot sinks deeper than expected. Water covers its ankles, then its lower legs. The calf shifts. The T-Rex lunges, and the river erupts. Adult hippos move with a speed that should not belong to bodies that round and heavy. One comes from the front, another from the side. A third rises behind the T-Rex like a boulder with teeth. The T-Rex bites at the nearest head and misses as the hippo dives under the surface. Then pain detonates in its tail. A hippo has clamped down with jaws strong enough to crush bone. The T-Rex twists, pulling hard, water exploding around its legs. Another hippo slams into its injured shin. For the first time in the simulation, the giant predator is not attacking. It is escaping. It rips free, staggering toward shore, tail bleeding, leg bruised, dignity gone. The hippos do not chase far. They do not need to. The message has been delivered. The water belongs to them. The T-Rex can dominate a carcass on land, but in a river, mass works against it. Mud steals balance, water slows turning. A bite force means nothing if the target attacks from below. For the next week, the T-Rex avoids deep water, but the dry season tightens. Avoiding water in Africa is like avoiding gravity. Everything eventually comes back to the river. Then comes the elephant mistake. A starving predator makes worse decisions than a comfortable one, and by the late dry season, the T-Rex is burning too much energy for each successful kill. Herds detect it earlier. Lions feed faster and leave less behind. Buffalo guard their young more aggressively. Warthogs vanish into burrows before it gets close, so when it sees an elephant calf lagging behind the herd, the old calculation returns. Large herbivore, vulnerable young, massive meal. It begins to close the distance. The calf is maybe 70 meters away. The mother sees the movement almost immediately. She turns, her ears spread, her trunk lifts. The T-Rex keeps coming because it has spent months watching animals run from it. The elephant does not run. She advances. Behind her, two other females turn and line up shoulder to shoulder. The T-Rex slows, but hunger keeps pulling it forward. At 40 meters, the matriarch charges. 5 tons of muscle, bone, memory, and rage rush across the dust. The T-Rex tries to angle away, but it reacts a fraction too late. The impact catches its hip and thigh, not square enough to kill, but hard enough to throw its balance sideways. A tusk opens a long tear across the muscle. The T-Rex snaps down and its teeth carve a bloody wound along the elephant's shoulder, forcing her back. But the damage is done. The predator limps away. The calf survives. The herd circles tight and rumbles low enough to travel through the ground. This is not just defense. This is communication. For miles around, elephants know something dangerous is near. From this point on, elephants alter their routes when they smell it. They move calves into the center earlier. They become a living alarm system across the savannah. The T-Rex has not conquered elephants. It has educated them. The human conflict begins quietly, not with soldiers, not with a city attack, with cattle. A T-Rex does not understand property. It understands meat, and livestock near the edge of protected land is slow, fenced, and easier than wildebeest. One night, it takes a cow from a village boundary and drags the body into the dark. By morning, the tracks are impossible to ignore. One footprint is wider than a man's shoulders. The bite marks do not match lions, hyenas, or crocodiles. Rangers arrive. Scientists arrive. Drones go up. And now the T-Rex faces something no Cretaceous predator ever evolved to handle. Organized humans who can observe from distance, coordinate by radio, and make decisions without needing to stand within bite range. At first, the goal is containment. Keep people away, track movement, avoid direct contact. But the T-Rex is huge, hungry, wounded, and unpredictable. When it returns to the same cattle area 3 nights later, the response changes. Vehicles form a wide perimeter. Spotlights cut across the grass. The T-Rex freezes in the white glare, confused by artificial sun. A tranquilizer dart hits its flank and barely penetrates deep enough. Another hits near the shoulder. The animal roars, not like a movie monster, but like air force through a massive throat and skull, a sound low enough to vibrate in the chest. It charges the brightest vehicle. The driver reverses hard. Dust hides everything. For 15 seconds, modern humans are reminded that technology creates distance, not immunity. Then the T-Rex veers away and disappears into darkness. The darts fail to bring it down. The next morning, the debate begins. Protect it because it is the only living T-Rex on Earth, or remove it because one animal cannot be allowed to threaten people, livestock, and an entire ecosystem. The T-Rex does not know it, but it has crossed the line from biological mystery to public crisis. In one extended branch of the simulation, drought forces the T-Rex farther than expected toward the coast, following the smell of a dead whale washed onto a beach. This is not its normal territory, but hunger makes strange maps. The carcass is enormous, rotting, full of fat, and surrounded by seabirds. For the T-Rex, it is a miracle. For the shoreline, it is chaos. Cape fur seals scatter from the shallows. Jackals retreat. Birds lift in a screaming cloud. The T-Rex feeds at the edge of the surf, tearing into whale flesh as waves wash blood back into the water. And that blood brings another ancient-looking predator, though not ancient in the same way. Great white sharks gather beyond the breakers, drawn by oil, blood, and drifting tissue. This is not a fight the way people imagine. A T-Rex and a great white shark do not duel like monsters in an arena. They occupy different worlds. On land, the shark is helpless. In deep water, the T-Rex is vulnerable. The danger comes from the boundary. A wave pulls a heavy strip of flesh away from the carcass. The T-Rex steps deeper to grab it. One foot drops into a channel carved by the tide. For a moment, its balance fails. A shark surges through the foam and bites the floating meat inches from its jaws. The T-Rex snaps down at water and catches nothing. The shark vanishes. The lesson is simple and humiliating. At the edge of the ocean, the T-Rex is no longer the only mouth in the story. It can eat from the whale, but it cannot control the sea. After 1 year, the T-Rex is still alive. That alone is extraordinary. It has killed warthogs, antelope, buffalo, sick giraffes, stolen lion kills, fed on carcasses, survived hippos, escaped elephants, and forced humans to rewrite every wildlife emergency plan on the continent. It has become the most feared single predator in Africa. But feared does not mean successful forever. The ecosystem has changed around it. Prey avoid its scent. Herds move differently. Lions abandon kills faster. Hyenas follow at safer distances. Elephants communicate warnings. Humans track it from the air. Every advantage it had at the beginning becomes smaller once the world learns its pattern. And the T-Rex has one problem it cannot solve. It is alone. There is no population, no mate, no young, no cultural learning from other tyrannosaurs, no second chance if it is injured badly. A lion can rely on a pride. Hyenas rely on clans. Elephants rely on families. Buffalo rely on herds. Humans rely on systems. The T-Rex relies on itself. That works until the day it does not. The final collapse begins with an injury that would be survivable in a less demanding world. A deep infection in the leg from an old wound reopened during a failed buffalo attack. At first, it keeps moving. Then it moves slower. Then it stops chasing and begins scavenging more. Vultures become its map. Hyenas become its competitors again. The animal that once terrified every predator now spends hours guarding half-rotten carcasses because fresh kills cost too much energy. It loses weight. Its ribs begin to show under thick skin. Its steps become uneven. One evening, near a river crossing, it tries to ambush a young wildebeest stuck in mud. Months earlier, this would have been easy. Now the mud grips its injured foot. The wildebeest thrashes free. Crocodiles slide from the bank, not attacking the T-Rex directly, but waiting, understanding weakness in the cold, patient way reptiles do. The T-Rex pulls back, breathing hard, and for the first time, it leaves food behind because reaching it is too dangerous. The end is not cinematic. There is no final battle with lions, no heroic fight against elephants, no last roar that shakes the continent. Real ecosystems usually end giants in quieter ways. Infection, hunger, heat, bad footing. One wound too many. The T-Rex lies down near a broken acacia during a wet, cold night and does not stand again. By morning, vultures are already gathering. Hyenas come first to test the body. They approach, retreat, approach again until one bites the tail and nothing moves. Then the savanna does what it has always done. It recycles the impossible. Hyenas tear open the softer tissue. Vultures clean the exposed parts. Insects arrive in waves. Later, crocodiles drag pieces toward the river. Within weeks, the largest predator Africa has ever seen becomes nutrients, bone fragments, and a story the ecosystem does not need to remember in order to move on. So, would a T-Rex survive in modern Africa? For a while, yes. It would be terrifying. It would kill. It would steal. It would disrupt predator behavior and force prey to adapt. It might dominate individual encounters with lions and hyenas, and it could take large prey under the right conditions. But long-term, it would not break Africa. Africa is too complex, too social, too fast, too hot, too watched, and too adaptive. A single T-Rex would become a crisis, then a legend, then a carcass. The king of dinosaurs would not fail because it was weak. It would fail because it arrived alone in a world where survival is no longer won by bite force alone. It was built for a vanished planet, and modern Africa would give it exactly what every living ecosystem gives an outsider: a chance, a warning, and eventually, a limit. If you want the next simulation, comment which extinct predator should enter the modern world next. And follow the channel because the next ancient giant may survive longer, or it may discover even faster that the modern Earth does not care how famous your fossils are.